morning. This is Stan once again in good old Amsterdam, and you are listening to Light Talk.
Hi, this is Steve in Dallas, Texas, and today we are discussing everything from your first year at grad school to maintaining a family life while being a lighting designer on Light Talk.
And hello, this is Anne, and I'm here once again with these crazy people on Light Talk.
And this is David in Central City, Colorado. And if you don't already know, you are listening to Light Talk, and we are the Lumen Brothers and Anne.
Yay!
Thank you, Anne. Hey, what's new?
What's new, David?
We've hit the milestone.
Did it hurt?
Yes,
Because I don't like that.
It hit me right in the face. What in the face? And it's like implanted in my forehead. Guess what it is?
That's some kind of forehead you got.
I've got a big forehead. We have hit over 100,000 downloads.
Wow.
What does that mean?
That's incredible.
All I know is that a few weeks ago I was at ETC, and Tom Littrell turned to me and he said, "You know, David," he said, "when I heard your show, I really liked it, but I thought you guys would last maybe a month or two because you're going to run out of things to say." And I
He didn't know us very well.
And he didn't know us.
They pay us to talk.
We didn't realize that we really don't have lives. This is the only thing we have to do now. But no, seriously, 100,000 downloads. And what's really exciting is I decided to go check on our country list. And those are the countries that actually download this crazy show, listen to us. And we have made our way, finally, into Africa.
A beautiful continent.
Wow.
Absolutely beautiful continent. And I am just thrilled. I mean, we are in Burkina Faso.
Yeah, I just did a little arithmetic. If you take 100,000 downloads and you divide it by 114 episodes, it's assuming that everybody listens to it once, that really only means we have 884 listeners.
Well, that would be wrong.
So let's not get all carried away here.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks a lot.
Let's not get too carried away.
I don't know. I think it's kind of cool that people listen to us in Africa.
I think so too.
One person.
The Faroe Islands. We have like 73.
Wow.
Faroe Islands. Okay, so
Listeners?
okay,
Come on.
So here's my plan. I figured out what we're gonna do to celebrate. I am going on a road trip to every single country. And all I ask is that the people who are in the country offer me a place to stay.
Wear your Light Talk hat.
I'll wear a Light Talk hat. I'll find one. And I do a show from every single country. Now,
That's
I could
amazing.
say the four of us could do it, but I don't think you guys... See, I'm retired now. I don't have to do anything. I can just travel. So it doesn't matter to me. You guys have to go back and teach. I can go to these countries, right? And I am so looking forward to going to the Faroe Islands. And
I'm going to Denmark. They own the Faroe Islands.
you're in Amsterdam. You need to do a show with somebody this week. Find one of our listeners from Amsterdam and just sit down and do a show.
I did not bring the mic.
Just record it on your iPhone, right? Just
you
record.
won't like
Use
that.
listen. It'll be great. Just do like a 5-minute interview with one of our listeners.
Okay.
I think
So,
that's
all
what we
right. So
need to
anybody
do.
who is in Amsterdam, just listen. I'm available. Okay. I'm staying in the Wharf. Okay.
Wharf.
I'm on the Wharf. I'm in the Hilton by I'm on the DoubleTree by Hilton in the Wharf. Just look me up. Call the hotel front desk.
He may also be at the police station soon if he goes through against the swag. So if he's not at the Wharf, check the local Jardin.
I have a European phone number. I can give it out on the show.
Don't do that. They can write you on the Facebook page.
They can.
Oh, do that. Do that.
Yeah, hit
All
me
right.
on the Facebook page if you're in Amsterdam. I'm here, and I'd love to do a quick little conversation with you for David to put up on the show. That would be wonderful.
Wouldn't that be great? Like a little 2-minute, 3-minute
Yeah, that would be
conversation?
great. Any of our Amsterdam listeners, please go ahead and reach out through the Facebook page, and we'll hook up. I'd love it.
Cool.
We should do that at LDI this year. Do a couple of questions for people to, upload or something.
Yeah, so that's smart.
Is Wi-Fi also a radio signal?
Oh, it's got to be a signal. It's got to be in a wavelength, right?
That means we are at infinity and beyond. That means after 2 years, Light Talk has passed the moon. It has rocketed past Mars. There are potentially ancient aliens listening to our telecast somewhere in the universe.
Steve is such a
like
poet.
that.
He's such a poet.
No, I think that's really exciting.
Ancient aliens, yeah. Now we got some listeners way out there.
Light Talk might be keeping the planet safe because they don't want anything to do with us.
Right?
That could be.
All right. I think Tom is correct. We have run out of things to talk about. So goodbye, everyone, from Light Talk.
No, wait,
No,
Steve has the first question.
Well, we haven't run out of things to talk about in Mississippi.
Nope.
And this is Renee from Mississippi. And I don't know if it's Renee, a young woman, or Renee, a young man. What can I expect in the first year of grad school?
Pain.
Not a lot of sleep.
No sleep.
If you're in Texas, you can expect a lot of barbecue.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. The first year, I think a whole new journey is starting. I think you can reinvent yourself in the first year. You come in, people know nothing about you. It's just you and what you let people know in your work. I think the first year of grad school is pretty exciting because you're starting off on a whole new adventure. You're about to, really focus in on an area of design that you like. You're meeting people maybe for the first time who are as talented as you are. Maybe you're not the most talented person in the room anymore. I think first year of grad school is exciting because it's a rebirth. What about you, Anne?
I agree with you, Steve. I think that's a great way to say it because it's your first chance to truly be a professional. If you're coming, especially if you're coming, I should qualify that by saying if you're coming right out of undergrad, because some of our students come already being professionals, but it is sort of morphing yourself into where you want to go from there. And I just think I was going to add that it's a boot camp. You get ready for some tough work and you get ready for not a lot of sleep and you get ready to just sort of soak it in and let yourself grow in all those areas that you've been wanting to grow in and ask all the questions you want to ask. And you have a faculty mentor that's there one-on-one. So it's really a place that you can take that like boot camp mentality in the most positive way I can mean it and sort of like use that to morph your career into what you want.
I mean, I just think she talks about, expect on the sort of the hard side of it is expect it to be really intense, and don't expect it to be. And Steve said this is the beginning of your professional career, so don't expect it to be like what you did and who you were in undergrad. And like Steve said, you reinvent yourself. Nobody knows you. It's clean slate. So you're going to create you're a lump of clay. You're going to create impressions and perceptions of yourself based on how you behave, how you work, and what you do. But I think if you came to my program, it's intense, right? The first year. Sometimes my students are sort of like the first couple of months. They're like, "Hey, I'm a little bored." I'm like, "Well, just wait, okay?
Just wait, yeah.
Just
I
wait.
get that too.
Enjoy that while you can." And but I mean, it's an intensive time, and you are beginning your profession. It's not really school. I put that in quotes. It's something beyond school. It's different.
David, what do you think?
Well, I don't teach grad programs anymore, so I really don't have much to say. No, seriously, I think Steve had the best answer. If you were a jerk, this is the time that you can change it all. And there are very few times in your life that you can actually change perception of, hey, that guy was a jerk. This is your chance, so why not? But you know something? It's easier said than done because jerks usually stay jerks, I hate to say it. But unless they have a real come to Jesus moment, which I had, by the way, and after my first year of grad school. I was almost thrown out of grad school.
That figures.
That figures, absolutely. After my first semester, I was placed on probation, and I was told by Bill Eckhart exactly why, because I was a jerk.
Wow.
And I thought I knew everything. I thought that, how dare they not give me a show my first year? I mean, really, who thinks like that? A jerk. A jerk thinks like that. Mm-hmm. So they told me, and they said, you better get it together or else you're not going to be here after the next semester. And I did. I did get it together, and I stopped being one. Yeah, because I was scared. And you know something? There's nothing wrong with being scared and being brought back to reality, because Bill and Gene Eckhart and Alan Heaton and Ming-Cho Lee and all these great people who I studied with, they want to see you succeed. They don't want to see you fail. And all the grad students that I've taught in my career, hundreds and hundreds of grad students, not one of them I ever thought I would, that person deserves to fail. No, I would work my tail off to make sure they succeeded. So I thank God that I had the people like Bill, Gene, and Alan who did that for me.
Since we're making confessions, I just was not having the life I wanted in New York City at the time. So I went as far away as I possibly could and still stay in the United States. So any perception of me, I wanted to erase all of my history. And actually it worked out so well for me because I was like kind of literally starting over in a place where I could just reinvent myself, and it was terrific.
Well, if David almost got kicked out, I almost left. I did a whole lot of crying my first year because it was a really, really hard program, and I didn't sleep a lot, and I just felt like, I don't know, just not talented enough, and there's a lot going on in my personal life, like with my family back home and stuff, and I was about ready to leave, and I even talked to the faculty about it. And then I met Philip Rosenberg, who changed my career. I don't know if he knows that, but I met him just on like a backstage tour one day. And I said to him, like, so are you happy in what you're doing? Do you have a partner? Like, do you have a life? That kind of thing. And he was so happy. He loved everything he did. He loved his partner. He was just so happy. And I decided to give it another try. And I stayed in grad school. And here I am today.
Nice.
Wonderful.
Very nice. That's great. Martin in Denmark asks, excluding the LED, what technology of the last few years has impacted your aesthetic results most dramatically? I have an answer. It's simple. I think it's the coolest thing since sliced bread in a light. I just love the automated shutters. I love the remote shutters. I love the dynamics of what you can do with that. I love everything. I still haven't figured out all the things I can do with them. So for me, that is something I've dreamed about, and I think that technology has really allowed me to do things that are really pretty cool.
I could say that visualization has helped my aesthetic results. Doing previs and also the control consoles, what they could do nowadays. I mean, just being able to assign times and delays and follows to individual,
parameters.
Parameters.
That's a big one.
I mean, now when I think about transitions and a fade, I'm not just thinking about a crossfade. I'm thinking about 5 or 6 or 7 of them within one, and different lights are doing different things within that. And that probably, matter of fact, I would say that is even more important than the visualization for me. Is to be able to actually customize fades and times so detailed that now I can do some, the type of transitions I've always dreamt about doing.
So the discrete timing for you is, I think you're right. I think that is a huge one. That is huge. Yep. It's huge. Yeah.
Samantha in Hobart, Australia asks, you have all succeeded in making a career. Well, thanks, Samantha.
Boy, does she have this wrong.
Yeah, right.
Not in my case. Are you kidding me? Okay.
So we've all succeeded in making a career that has lasted most of our working lives. What have you done to make it sustainable, she asks.
The career itself or our lives?
Yeah, right. You go first.
I think she's asking both, right?
Well, I think we talk about the live section in our Let's Talk About later. Don't we? I think so. But anyway, wow. What do you think, Anne?
Oh, gosh. This is a tough question. Am I making it sustainable? I don't know. Depends on the day whether I feel like I'm sustainable or not. I'm a workaholic. I just keep pushing. I feel like there is not a day that I take off, and that is not a good thing. I keep taking on more work and more gigs and more books and more and more and more and more. And I sort of tell myself that's a really not a good thing because I need to breathe and relax and sleep and all that stuff. But that pushing is what makes me successful, I guess, So I think, you don't want to be sick like me and just keep working, but that's kind of how I have done it.
I would say I'm a recovered workaholic.
Nice.
So I think I was for many, many years, and I'm not doing that anymore. So I've given up that to the ghost. I've done my 12-step program, so I'm no longer a workaholic. I'm happy to say I'm a workaholic, but I'm recovered, and
I need that.
I now meditate. and I have boundaries, and I've saved my money. So I've been I didn't start out with anything or hardly anything in my life, and I've saved. I've always lived within my means. That's made it sustainable. So I don't have to take work that I don't want to take or that's going to be detrimental or unhealthy. And I've made really clear boundaries, and I've learned how to say no, and I wait for the things that I really want to say yes to. But I can have to say that that's not always been the case. It's taken me a while to get it to this place.
You know, and I am the opposite of Stan. I spend money completely without any sort of thought or whatever. If something's going to make me happy, I'm going to buy it. I'm
Typical American.
A typical American. Because, you know, my dad says you got to be happy.
Sure.
You got to be happy. And that is what we all want to be, is happy anyway. But you know something? They say that money can't buy you love, right? So
depends on what your definition of love is.
I'm still looking for love. And
I don't know. You're in Amsterdam, Stan, down on the wharf. Have you found love yet?
My
He's
love
got love
is
with him.
My love is with me. I have the love of my life every day. I'm grateful for that.
Now I need to be in Amsterdam. That's what
Actually, David and I share the same love, right? We have our fur babies.
we do.
That's the key to a happy life.
We do. That's right. Dogs are the best. Absolutely the best.
Yeah, my kitties make my life sustainable. I don't know about my career, but
But you know, the career. Let's get back into the question for a second. The career being sustainable. I just take the shows I want to do. Again, this is one of the nice things about having a life in academia, because you don't have to worry about taking every single show. So I think I'm a happier designer, and I've been a happier designer for as long as I've been teaching, because I didn't have the pressure that most freelancers have as far as survival. And because I'm a happier designer, I think directors will continue to hire me. So it has a lot to do with being relaxed and not having to worry about all those other things that are going on in your life.
I love to get projects, and I love to see these buildings go up and these performance facilities happen. And when I got this University of Tampa project, I went, man, and the timeline was so tight. I said, this is going to be, being honest with myself, if I try and do all the work, so there's like a greed factor. If I do all the work, then I get all the money. And because for me, money in the bank is a form of security. I feel more secure. Oh, if I do all the work, I get all the money. But you know what? If I try and do all the work on this timeline, it's going to affect my health. It's going to affect sustainability. So as I reached out, I called a friend. I said, do you have time to take this on? He said, after next week, I can do it. I'll jump right over. I said, fine. So you sort of have to, if you really want to be successful, it's a good, like Al Crawford talked about that in building Arc3 Design. He didn't want to give up Alvin Ailey, but stuff was coming to him. And so he needed to bring people in to help him. So you have to be thoughtful and healthy at whatever stage you're in. I think, I appreciate the workaholic comment, but I think at some point you have to say, do I really want to continue being that? And can I still be successful and happy by not doing that? And I think it's possible.
well, I definitely say it's not a good thing. So Samantha, don't be like me, is what I'd say.
Right.
But I would say another thing I do to make it sustainable is I work in a bunch of different fields within lighting. So I love I always say if I do like 3 Oedipuses in a row, I want to, you just walk away, right? But if I'm doing an Oedipus and then I'm doing a TV gig and then I'm doing a theme park gig and then I'm doing some architecture, I love that kind of varied career. So that's been something that keeps it sustainable, A, because it's exciting for me, and B, because it's various types of income that can come in.
I agree with Ann. That's well said. And you're a woman after my own heart.
Right. And you're also a writer.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
and a
love to
writer.
write.
Writing really has helped me keep everything in perspective.
I do podcasts.
Podcasts are also, you're absolutely right, Stan. I mean, this is also a creative outlet in a crazy way.
Yeah, I mean, the money I've been making off you guys is good.
It's funny. I don't want to go. Let's not touch that one because David and I don't agree. But for years people said, Richard Pilbrow was encouraging people write books. And I had my people at school. You should write a book. You're at that point in your career. You probably have a lot to give back. And I said, I do, but I'm not happy writing a book, which is basically sitting in a room with your own thoughts. Some people are great at that. Like Ann is brilliant. I love to read her books. Me, I need the interactive. This is much more. So for me, this is a form of publication, and I'm enjoying it very much. You are listening to Light Talk with Ann, Steve, Stan, and David, the Lumen Brothers and Sistah. And Light Talk this week is sponsored by...
We have a public service announcement from No More 10 out of 12s. When was the last time you heard, "Hey, Skinny, your ribs are showing"?
Me.
Do stagehands kick sand in your face? Remember the last load-in when you bumped into the rigger and she said, "You're not worth beating up"?
No!
Well, my friend, perhaps you are not manly. What to do? Today we have 4 easy steps on the road to manliness. Number 1, buy a denim jacket. Nothing says manly like denim. Accessorize it with a flannel shirt and a pair of iron Rangers. Extra points if you have the guts to wear a Stetson open road to the theater. Learn to program a Grand MA. Stop whining to the programmer about what you want. You need a dozen things happening at the same time. Step in and program what you want. Then charge the programmer a teaching fee. Extra points if you can text your agent at the same time. Number 3, learn to build a campfire. Let's say in the middle of a Chicago winter, and the guys are on truck 3. Break that pout up. Carve yourself a feather stick, light a fire, and keep the crew warm. Extra points if you can brew up some cowboy coffee. Finally, take charge of the focus call. Don't ask where the crew wants to start. Tell them. We're starting downstage and moving upstage, and that's going to take 47 minutes. And then the booms will take another 28. If this seems too difficult, just grow yourself a beard. Just be sure to spend a ton of money on the product to highlight every hair on your manly masterpiece.
Oh.
This has been a public service announcement from No More 10 out of 12s.
And now, back to Light Talk.
Well, the sound of those ducks in the background tell us that once again, it is time for our ever-popular segment, Let's Talk About. And it's funny because earlier there was a question about sustaining your career and what tricks we had to keep our career sustainable with the crazy life that we lead. But this question is a lot more serious. It's how do we sustain our personal lives while touring and traveling as a lighting designer? This person was actually going to be on the road for 22 weeks during that year.
Wow.
So that's almost half the year.
Yeah.
So, do you guys have any tricks? Anne, what do you think?
Yeah, I have a lot of these. Because I was in a long distance relationship with my current partner for many years while I was doing Broadway associate stuff. And there's like websites on LDR, like long distance relationships. There's lots of books out there on long distance relationships. And so I would take a bunch of tips from those things. And it was, goofy romantic things. Like we would Skype a lot, and like we would Skype over dinner. So we were, maybe he was eating lunch and I was eating dinner or something like that. Or we'd watch a movie together through Skype. Or, I don't know, I'd send like books or gifts or like romantic things like pieces of a puzzle that was actually a picture of us, but I'd send it in little bits each time, so it was fun, goofy things that kept it, just sort of close. And I always kept a clock on a clock app on my computer that said whatever time zone he was in and whatever time zone I was in. So I always knew what we were doing and stuff like that. Just trying to keep each other on each other's minds the whole time, I think, is really the trick to keeping the relationship good. I don't know, David, what did you do?
Well, in my successful relationship that I sustained?
You still had tips, I'm sure. I don't know.
Well, I can tell you what not to do.
Okay.
Don't have affairs. I didn't do it. I did not do that.
Yeah.
But definitely be faithful to your loved one. I think that is the most important thing you can do. I love Anne's suggestions, and that's what I used to do with my wife. Is that we actually would text each other a lot, like "How you doing? Just thinking about you," And this director's driving me crazy. Go out, take a walk. Thank you, honey. And things like that. And I think it's great to have that time always in mind of what time zone they're in. I think that's really, really important. But I think it gets more and more difficult when you start having kids. And I'm not saying don't have kids, because it's obvious that Paulie was able to sustain her relationship and have children. And, she worked with a lot of people who were very understanding. She brought her kids into the theater sometimes and things like that. And I think most theater people would kind of dig that, to tell you the truth, as long as they're well behaved, of course. And hers, I'm sure, were. But I think it's very challenging. And, because when I was on the road a lot, and still, I still travel quite a bit, I miss my dog terribly. And I missed my wife terribly. I cannot imagine having children. I can't, because I would miss them so much that I don't know if I could ever travel again, to tell you the truth.
Let's ask Steve. He travels a lot.
That's right. And has a family.
One of the things I listened to on Memorial Day was a discussion on NPR about long-distance marriages and long-distance relationships. And what we're really talking about is the kind of life someone in the military leads.
True.
You're on deployment, and all of a sudden your loved one is in another state or another side of the world. I think it's really hard. I mean, for me, I was at the height of my touring. The last major tour I did, I was on the road 50 weeks. And after that, I planned on getting married. And I made a decision that no more touring for me. I would still design tours, and a lighting director would run the things, but I just was not going to do those kind of tours anymore. I wanted, a relationship. I wanted a stable relationship. I wanted a child. And so I set a part of my career aside. I think, a lot of that happens when you're very young also. When you're in your 20s and maybe early 30s, I think it's not unusual to have these kind of tours or have these kind of out-of-town dates. But I do think you start, for me, making choices about what I thought was important for my life. And so for my life, it was settling down. And that led me in many ways to teaching, so that I could have a steady job and not have to worry about every bill and where the money was going to come from. And I think David or Ann mentioned it before. I could cherry pick the things that really were important to me. So at that point, what became important to me was work in Europe. And so I'd be gone for 2 or 3 weeks at a time, a couple times a year, and that was manageable. But these kind of 22 weeks, I mean, that's a long time,
That's a long time.
That's a long time, brother. So, my hat's off to you to doing that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, all of a sudden you're doing, Game of Thrones. I'll be leaving for Ireland for 6 months. So it's got to be hard. I think you just get your priorities in line. I think Ann's ideas are really, and I mean this with sincerity, I think they're really sweet and genuine and honest. And I wish I had thought of that when I was touring more, because I think it's a wonderful idea to take that moment every day out of your day and say, hey, remember me? I'm that person who really cares for you.
Yeah, but it is hard. I'm with you, Steve. I got off the road for the same reasons. Like, I always wanted to teach. I always wanted to be with my partner and have cats, and I made that choice that I was done with, just going all over the country and setting up Broadway stuff. Like, I was just done. So it's a really hard thing. So I don't want to not say it's not hard, because 22 weeks is a long time. But I think, tricks like that can help a lot.
Well, really, you're living the life. I mean, it's all about living life by our own standards. And each of us have found a way to be happy in our careers. It is this idea of being happy and comfortable inside our skin. I mean, you've done the Broadway thing. You have nothing left to prove. Mm-hmm. You have entered that arena and you've been successful at it. And now you've entered the arena of a successful author, and you're off in Prague. And you're teaching
Thanks.
At a respected school.
Yeah.
So each little step you have succeeded, and through that success you have gained something, and that is what you're considering a normal life, which is what I'm hoping to have achieved also in my lifetime.
Sounds like you've gotten there. Yeah, we all find our place, right? And some people tour for their entire career, and you just figure out tricks that work with your partner back home,
I would just say I only did enough touring to know that I didn't want to do it intensely. So I touched it. It was okay. But I didn't go crazy. And I'll just add this about the relationship to Anne's point about that little thing that you do every day. Years ago when I first got an iPhone and I discovered you can do these little reminders and you could set it to do it every day. So I put a little reminder in my phone. And to this day, this is over 10 years now. Every day at 5 o'clock, a little reminder comes up and it tells me to kiss my wife, whether she's there or not. And I still do it. But I want to say something that she taught me because I wasn't her first marriage. And this is really just 2 little words, a very short phrase, but if you think about it over and over again, it's kind of transcendental. You have to have a commitment to the commitment. And that's the only way you'll make that relationship sustainable.
Well, on that, Steve has our last listener question of the day.
And it is Lois in Boston. And she asks, is the clock running out on gel?
Tick tock, tick tock.
I think in the entertainment industry it probably is. I mean, it's used in photography, it's used in film, but I think in live theater and rock and roll, I think gel is pretty much going the way of the buffalo, and it will be a fond memory in a few years.
It might be like a specialty material for artists who like to use filters for different things. I can see that sort of, but yeah, I agree with Steve.
I think probably. I mean, I keep thinking that when I'm teaching, like I'm still teaching in gel because we don't have enough LEDs and moving lights not to. But at the same time, it's that thing that at some point we're going to say, well, we haven't used these conventionals in a while. Like, do I teach gel or not? Like, I just think it's kind of inevitable.
Yeah.
You know what I do in my office? I have 2 what are they called? D50s? They're D22s, little 5-color LED fixtures I can plug into my computer. And I have 2 X-Rite color checkers so I can teach LEDs. I also have tons of gel books. And now I set up little fiber optic fixtures that are on dimmers, 1 tungsten, which has amber drift, of course, and 1 LED that when you dim it does not. And you can hold a piece of gel under these little baby fixtures and see what they're going to do on whatever target you want to have. So I still have to have that because we have not spent the amount of money we'll have to spend to replace everything that's tungsten in our theaters. And that's going to be still a multi-year process.
Well, I think that gels are useful for a reference, and that's about it. And I will tell you one place where gels are still very important, and that's in manufacturing. And you're saying, what is he talking about? When I was at ETC, they gave me a little secret about the Releve. One of the great things that the Releve has is a really wonderful diffusion filter. And guess what that diffusion filter is?
Gel.
2 pieces of R132 that come in a
Nice.
sandwich manner.
Nice.
That's right. That's no secret. There's no secret about that, but that's something I did not know.
Is it on a substrate of some kind to make it stiff, or is it just a piece of gel?
Yes, they actually have it mounted in a way that it's not going to break or do
Right.
anything or tear or anything like that.
Right.
But they wanted 132, and they told me they tried 119 first, but it just wasn't successful.
Too much.
And so they basically have 2 pieces of 132 that one comes in from each side slowly, and they come in and they create a very lovely diffusion. So there, that's where gel is useful for. Well, that Hammond organ solo in the background tells us that once again you've spent another morning listening to Light Talk. Check out our website on lighttalk.org for future guests, and be sure to follow us on our Facebook group page and subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and most other podcast hosting sites. That way you will not miss 1 second of Light Talk fun.
No guarantee is offered regarding the accuracy of any statements or opinions made on this podcast.
But just in case you try to sue us, the law firm of Fleck, Fluck, Flair, and Glare, with their paralegal snoot, will defend us until our retirement accounts are depleted.
Light Talk is written and produced by the Lumen Brothers, coming to you from Central City, Amsterdam, Sam Clemente, and the Lone Star State.
And be sure to tune in next week when we chat with projection designer, theater artist, and my personal friend, Elaine McCarthy.
All of that great stuff and a new sponsor, Light Talk. We are broadcasting questionable Lumen knowledge and humor to at least 102 countries around the world.
105. But we will see you all next Saturday morning. Bye-bye from Light Talk.
Bye, everybody.
So long, everybody.
Light Talk.